Hello, everybody, and welcome to this broadcast. Whether you are watching us, looks like we're broadcasting at 5 different places simultaneously: LinkedIn, YouTube, and all over Facebook. We're here to talk about Amazon's new guidelines and especially how it affects Helium 10 members and what we have available for you guys to help you out with this transition. We've been getting a lot of requests about this. So, guys, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, you are going to want to take notes because we've got some great information for you. So, my name is Bradley, and I'm a Dodger alcoholic. Oh, sorry. But, guys, today, hopefully, for the first
Hi,
time since I was
Bradley.
10 years old, the Dodgers will be taking the World Series. So that's why I'm wearing this. And we got Helium 10 is actually Dodger blue. If anybody didn't know that, that's why we have blue colors, according to me. Anyways, that's me. Barkus, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
You already introduced me. Marcus Patty here with Helium 10. Recently switched to role. We're going to introduce Alex in a second. I recently switched out of product. I still got like a couple of toes in there to help, figure some solutions out there. But Alex has taken over follow up in portals. And I'll let him finish introducing himself. So
Thank you both. Hello, I'm Alex. I'm the newest product manager working on follow-up and portals. So today it'll be more talking about your follow-up updates regarding the communication guidelines. So happy to be a resource to everyone, answer some questions today, and try to highlight a lot of the changes that we're making to help all of you sellers out there and Helium 10 customers.
All right. So yeah, so we had some questions in customer service like, wait, Barkus isn't the product manager for follow up and portals anymore. Does that mean there's no more innovation? No. We got Alex pass the baton, and Barkus you're actually going to be seen more of because he moved over to the brand evangelist role here, like Karen, who you guys have seen a lot lately. So, anyways, one quick thing I noticed, as you guys can see, you're able to comment on here if you're watching this live. And these individuals here have done the right thing. They saw there's some directions right here in the description above or below where you hit a link just so that we can see your name. So if you haven't done that yet, find the description and hit that link. It should be something like called, I think it's streamyard.com/Facebook. And it allows us to be able to see your name when you make comments, because this is not just going to be a presentation. This is going to be a two-way thing where we want to hear from you and answer your questions. So just to start us off, we had one of these about 1 or 2 weeks ago, Alex. So could you perhaps just give us an update? Maybe somebody has been, raking in money on the beaches of Aruba, and they have not been in the land of the living here, and they have no idea what is this new communication guidelines that we're even talking about here.
Sure. So in short, back last month in September, Amazon gave us a notice saying that we're going to update their guidelines in how sellers can communicate with buyers. And so in that PDF that they sent out back in September, they highlighted mainly two big things. So when you should be, or when you are allowed to be sending proactive communication and when you are not. And then the other thing is more of styling and formatting. So how they would like your emails to be formatted and styled. And so we'll kind of dive into both of those categories, but it's important to look at when should I be sending emails and when should I not be in terms of the updated guidelines. And then how should those emails that I am sending be styled and formatted.
Okay, excellent. And one of the common questions we've been getting a lot is, hey, will Helium, how does Helium 10's follow up, play a role in this? What are the new things that have been added to follow up to take care of this, or that are coming? And what do I need to do if I'm already using follow up? How do I bring myself into line with what Amazon wants starting on November 6th? Now, just out of curiosity, Barkus, to you, in your opinion, people's opinions might differ, but what is your opinion as the biggest switch or change that sellers need to make? Like, what do you think the common Amazon seller who's been already communicating with their customers, like what's going to be the biggest change that they have to make with these new guidelines?
Well, first off, letting me have my opinion on a live webinar is a dangerous, slippery slope for you there, but I'll do my best.
Well, I have a mute button right
You got a
here,
mute
so
button?
like a debate moderator,
Okay, so I just
I got
go
my finger
off.
on the trigger.
I think that the biggest thing is I say this all the time, even before September, is check the language. 99.9% of the people that have ever gotten in trouble, a slap of the wrist by Amazon, it's always been the language, how you are communicating to people. Always check the language. But the biggest thing is we simply can't send just a thank you order message anymore, which makes sense. Like it makes sense because if you think about how people order things and consume things these days, that if I'm ordering on my app, as soon as I place an order, I get a notification right there, and then I get an email from Amazon. Getting one from the private seller is just redundant. You can even have your Alexa let you know that you just ordered something. You know, there's many ways to get that information from Amazon, so it's really just a redundant thing. It's not necessary anymore. So if you're going to be sending anything as far as a message to consumers, again, like I've always said this, like put value in that message. You know, if you're going to ask for a product review, now we are limited a little bit in what we can say in there, and we'll talk about that later. But you know, if you're going to ask for a product review, bring some value to that message. Bring something. You know, maybe it is product instructions, maybe it's a warranty, installation instructions, or something like that. Like, bring some value, care instructions. You don't want to just be like, hey, can I ask for a review? So, and the reason you want to do that is because you might have the instructions on your listing, you might have it in the packaging, but it's just another way to get that conversation started about your product. And anytime you can do that on Amazon's real estate is always well worth it, in my opinion. So,
all right, cool. See, I didn't even have to use any mute button. All right. So, what's the first thing, Alex, that we want to talk about today?
So we can quickly touch on when you should and should not be, and I think Barkus covered most of it there. So the things that, as a rule of thumb, anytime that Amazon is already going to be doing something 100% of the time on your behalf, or automatically going to be doing it themselves, is a time that you should not be. So like Barkus said, a simple thank you, Amazon does not want you sending that, along with order confirmation, shipping confirmation, delivering confirmation, all of these things that Amazon is already going to be updating to your customer, you should not be sending out. So that's number one, is when should I be? So the things that you maybe should be, obviously there's circumstances where you might have a customized product, or it's a large bulk item that you need to have a special delivery kind of critical message of how it should be used, how products should be used, or a particular way to care for the product that definitely should be delivered before the product is delivered. In those cases, you can still send those as well. And then lastly, seller feedback and product review. You can still request a product review, one per order, and you can still request seller feedback as well. So those are things that you can continue to do.
All right, excellent. Now, something came live already this week in follow-up that kind of affects this conversation that we're having. Can one of you guys talk about that a little bit?
So we've done a few things. The first thing that most, or at least a large handful of our follow-up customers received is an email notification and possibly in-app notification detailing which automations and email templates they're using that are likely to be non-compliant. And what we've done there is we basically kind of sifted through all of your automations and emails just to look for particular things that stand out as being non-compliant. So we have a number of tags that you use. One example would be product image automations and email templates they're using.
All right, we got
A little delay there.
Yeah, a little bit of delay, and make sure. Yeah, there you go. Barkus muted himself there. All right, good.
Okay.
Okay. Barkus, you've been monitoring, and both of you guys, but I'll ask this to Barkus. Been monitoring, a lot of the common questions coming through here on Facebook, and also coming through in customer service. Do you have some that you'd like to call out? Like, give us the answers to some of these top common questions that you have seen that obviously people are concerned about related to this topic we're talking about today. We'll
Sure.
start with Barkus, and then maybe Alex, if you remember something that Barkus didn't.
Yeah. So the biggest things are, one of these is debated. So we'll talk about that in a second. I guess the biggest ones are, can you still send messages using a tool like Follow Up? And yes, Amazon, if you read the communication guidelines from Amazon in Seller Central News, they're specific that you can use a tool like that. Also, can I still ask for a product review? So again, yes, they specifically say that you can do that. The other one is, can I use product images? So the debate here is what type of images, because Amazon, the great thing about the communication guidelines is they brought a lot of specific detail to the messaging, but there's certain things about images that we're really not. I don't know. We got like 4 or 5 questions, and it's kind of ambiguous in the messaging. But product images you no longer need to put them in there. Amazon doesn't want you to put them in there because Amazon is going to take the message that you send to the Amazon buyer asking for a product review. They're going to basically wrap your message, and they're going to have a little bit in there, but they're going to have the product image in there. So that's not debatable. The debate is like, what type of images can you put in there? And because Amazon talks about ones that are not related to the brand. So is a logo okay? Is a company photo of the employees okay? So there's some debate there. I like to err on the side of caution. Don't put any images in there, because I don't know. It's just too easy. Since it's kind of vague, it's too easy to. And one last thing that about
you
common
had
questions
just gotten frozen there for a second. Go ahead. You're back.
Oh. One last common question that we get that I can think of right now is, what happens when I get a messaging ban, whether it's temporary or permanent? How do I ask for reviews? So the good thing is if you even get a permanent ban, you can still use the request to review function inside Seller Central. Now, whether you use a Chrome extension or somebody else's tool like Follow Up, something like that, to use to kind of automate some of those processes, you can still do that, or you can do it manually inside Seller Central. So that functionality still works. I got confirmation from a few people that actually had the permanent ban. I'm like, hey, try this, and it worked for them. So that's good.
Alex, anything else that you've seen come through that maybe Barkus didn't touch on?
Yeah, I think the only other questions that I've seen a lot of our customers asking is just, what do I need to do, right? Like they maybe have 2 or 3 different templates that are automations in place and Follow Up, and they're just thinking, they're working well for me. I don't really want to touch them very much, but what's the minimal that I need to do to make sure that I'm compliant? And what I would recommend to those people would be, firstly, just going through your emails. If you just open up each of them in the editor, you'll find a couple things there. But mainly, if you just go and try to save, it's going to kind of alert you of the things that you need to do, right? So if your product image is still there, and I think we've probably removed it at this point from a lot of email templates, or will be, and we're kind of like phasing in some automated changes to email templates. But you'll notice that tag is missing because we're telling you to not include the product image. And there's lots of examples like these. So I would go in and just go into the editor and try to save. And then it should prompt you of what things you need to change. And then lastly, what I would also do is just look at your automations. Look at when are these things being sent out? So what is the trigger? Is it when when the order's placed or when it's delivered? And what's the wait time in between those as well? So I would just look at, take a look through your email templates. Shouldn't take too long, but just go through each of them, and then go through your automations that are using those templates. And then the last thing that I would do is if you haven't seen the updates of the request to review. If you don't want to include, if you don't want to have your own custom email template for request to review, we've added the ability to trigger Amazon's request to review template. So you can do that by also using the Chrome extension or going into Seller Central and manually doing it there. But this is a more automated way of triggering that email. It'll automatically be translated into the buyer's language of preference, and you can just leave it there. And then obviously it's important to note, which everyone probably knows at this point, but you should only be sending that once per order. So if you are going to use that particular feature, wherever you choose to use it, just use it in that one place. So if you like to manually request a review, only do that. Don't set up an automation that's going to automatically do it. Same with the Chrome extension. If you're going to do it there, then don't do it here. But that may be a good place to start doing your request to reviews because obviously it's an automated solution.
Yeah, and it's much better than using the Amazon one because you can actually put in different filters such as, hey, don't send this out to somebody who has asked for a refund, or don't send it out to people who have got a discount greater than 20%, or send it out this many days after the order comes through. So you have a lot of kind of flexibility and able to laser focus exactly who you want to get this message and when, that you can't just do just by going one by one and clicking, request review on Amazon, or even using the Seller Assistant app. So we highly recommend using Follow Up for that. Anything else before we start getting into the users' questions here? Anything else that either of you would like to talk about or announce or cover?
So for me, if we could just quickly unpack. There's been some questions about the language of preference and what users need to do on that front, or what we're doing to try to help you be compliant in the buyer's language of preference. And so I'll try to keep it brief so we can get to some questions. But the update in the communication guidelines is Amazon is asking that all of these proactive messages be sent in the buyer's language of preference. And each marketplace that you sell on, for instance, Amazon.com, the default language is English, but some customers, probably a small fraction, but can choose to change it to the other supported language, which would be Spanish on Amazon.com. And so what we need to do is ensure that the emails that are being sent are in that buyer's preferred language that they've configured. And so what we're doing on the product front, so in follow-up, is we're basically making sure that the email that you have, if it is not in that buyer's language of preference, that it will not be sent to that customer. And the way that we're going about doing that, which you should see some updates before November 6th, which is when these will be in effect. You will see some updates where we're giving you the ability to tag the language of your email. It'll just be a simple drop down in each of your email templates, and you'll declare what is the language of this template, and that way we'll check if your template is in English and the buyer their preference is in English. If those match, we'll send the email. And you have the ability to, if you would like to translate your emails into another language, you can do that on your own. We don't have a translator for you, but you can translate that, tag that as Spanish, and we'll dynamically or we'll automatically decide which email to send based on the buyer's language of preference to make sure that the right email template in the correct language is sent to that buyer. However, if you don't have one in the other language, don't feel like you have to do that. It will maybe limit some of the people that receive those messaging. So keep that in mind. But that's kind of one of the main things that we need to do to stay compliant with that particular requirement that Amazon is asking us to do.
Okay. Marcus, anything before we get into the questions?
The only thing I was going to talk about, and it's actually part of one of the YouTube questions, so I was trying to answer a couple of those. So we can answer.
Yeah. So the people on YouTube can only see the YouTube one, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some of those questions, even though you answered it over there. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the board for everybody here. So Let me see. First of all, yeah, I know you dealt with this one, but here's one. Self-developed store says, please, what does this mean, removing the product image? So Barkus, you had answered that there, but can you answer it for everybody else too?
Yeah, so we just talked about it, but we've removed in follow up the ability to add the product image, the main product image, and because Amazon specifically tells us to not add a product image, so and because Amazon will kind of wrap that message and have the product image, they're already doing that for you when they send that message on your behalf. So there's just no reason to. And Amazon, it's an easy why. They don't want us to, so we're not going to do it.
All right. Laldoshan says, per one order, can I ask for both product review and seller feedback, or only one of them per order?
You can ask for both, but you can only do it once per order. And there is kind of a follow-up question to this we get a lot is, what if somebody buys 3 of your products at the same time? Amazon is specific, and you can only ask for a review once per order. You can't ask for a review for the 3 products that they bought from you 3 times. You can't do that 3 times, even though they're all in the same order. It might seem unfair, but that's just Amazon's rules. It's once per order. So whether they buy 1 or 15 of this, maybe they're different items, maybe it's multiple different of apparel or whatever, it's once per order.
Now, how does that work then in follow-up, though? Because we design follow-up, obviously, for a product. Like if somebody orders this product, send them this email. So like, how do we, I've seen this question before, and I'm not even sure if I know the answer to it, but how somebody orders 3 different products, we have technically 3 different automations for those products in follow-up, or our Amazon seller might have that. What does the buyer see, or what is actually sent out?
Everything's based off the first product. So whatever is the first product in the cart, those other 2 automations won't go out. There's a couple of safety measures in there. Follow-up won't allow you to send more than 1 message to the same buyer for the same order in a 24-hour period anyway. So it kind of cancels that information out. So they won't even get those 3 requests, even if you have it set up that way.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Josh the non-alcoholic had that same question there. It looks like that was the same question as Lal Doshin had.
Can you put product?
I love YouTube nicknames. Facebook
name. To Josh's question, I would just say you can put as many things in a single email if you'd like. If you want to ask for a review, seller feedback, and include the product instructions all in one, that may make sense to do. However, keep in mind that requesting a review, Amazon is now saying that you have to do it within a 5 to 30-day window after an order is delivered, which we've kind of already built into follow-up, making sure that you do that. But maybe you want your instructions right away, so you may choose to send those separately. So just keep in mind whatever makes sense on the timeline that you want to reach out to customers. But I think I'm of the opinion of keeping the number of emails going out probably as low as possible. And especially, if you want your customer to take a particular action, both leaving a product review and seller feedback, the odds of them doing both is probably slim too. So it may be better to just go for one. But obviously you can include all those as long as they're permitted messages within the communication guidelines. It's kind of open to you to interpret how you want to apply that.
Okay. And I think a Facebook user here, other than the fact that they did not click StreamYard.com/Facebook, so I can't tell you, or I can't call you by name, but where can they find this thing that we were talking about a few minutes ago about the how they can do the customization of the review requests from within follow-up?
Great question. So first of all, it's important to note that currently it's only available to North America marketplace sellers that are only in North America right now. We're kind of trying to phase it in and get it working for other customers. Right now, it's only enabled to those North America only sellers. And if you do fall within that group right now, or when it is rolled out to you, the way that you will go and use that is if you just go to automations, new automation, you'll see the first option there is request a review and seller feedback.
Oh, hold on. But Barkus, do you have it pulled up by chance? As Alex is talking about this, maybe you could share your screen from the Project X account or something, just to show people so that Alex can describe it while he's talking here. You got to put it the share screen from the bottom, and then I'll put it into the waiting room, and then I'll push it to the live broadcast. So hold on, Alex. Let's
Sure.
help people visualize this a little bit more.
Froze up a little bit.
Barkus is either being very still or he's frozen. Now he's gone. What about you, Alex? Do you have it available in your? Do you have a multiple monitor here? Whoa! Look at Barkus is all over the place there. All right.
I do. I can share.
Barkus is smiling. What's going on? What is that? Yeah, if you can share and put it up on the bottom there, I'll bring it here. But yeah, this is a great question that whoever had that. Again, I don't know since you're just called Facebook user, but you guys can do this right now if you're selling in the North American marketplace, being Canada and all right, looks like you're ready for me to go?
Yes, you
can I
can see
push it
you can see my screen?
Yep, I can see it at the bottom. So can I show it now?
Yes.
Cool. All right. All right. So now go ahead and continue what you were saying about describing where that's at.
Okay. So if you simply go to new automation, which is in your automations tab here in follow-up, and the first pre-made automation template is request a review and seller feedback. If you hover over this, it'll explain what it's going to do, which is use this automation to trigger Amazon's request a review and seller feedback templated email. And note, you should be only sending this once per order, which the tool will kind of do for you. So if you click this one, the trigger is order delivered, and it's going to wait by default 7 days. You can do this within 5 days. Amazon's policy is that you have to send this within 5 to 30 days of the estimated delivery date. So we only allow you to wait up to that period. And so you could change that. By default, it's going to be wait a week, so 7 calendar days. And then it's just a simple action for request a review. If you're familiar with this, there's a send mail where you can trigger your templated email. There's the wait, which you saw here already, and request a review is a new action that we've added. And again, if you hover over, it'll explain how you can use this action. And it won't let you do it for anything other than delivered to. So if you change the wait time or the action, these other things will open up. But we're going to restrict it to only orders order delivered within 5 to 30 days. We'll wait and send this action. And what this will do is for all of your orders, again, you can apply different filters if you'd like, but it's going to trigger Amazon's templated email to request review and seller feedback. And it will also translate that into the buyer's language of preference. And then if you go ahead and save that, you can then activate it and you're live. The only other thing that you're going to want to do before you activate it is make sure that if you have anything else in place that's going to also request a review, that you turn those things off. So maybe I have another automation that's a custom email template and I prefer to use this one. I'll just go ahead and pause that and activate this one as well. And then I'll make sure that I don't go in and manually request reviews in Seller Central or in my Chrome extension, because this will be doing it for me.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Thank you for that. I hope that helps people visualize. And just really quick, somebody else had a question along these same lines. I think I can probably go ahead and take this one. Can you explain the difference between asking for a review in the H10 Follow versus using the plugin for request review? So as far as on the Amazon side, what is being triggered? It's the same thing. It is basically on that request, the hitting the button request a review on the order page. Now, if you are doing it on the plugin side with using the Seller Assistant Chrome extension, you're on the order page and then you hit do request all. It's just hitting all those, regardless of what product it is, regardless of when they got it. It's trying to hit it for all of those, whatever's on the screen there, or you're just doing it one by one. The difference and why we suggest doing it in follow-up is because now you're able to customize when people are getting that request and to whom and under what circumstances. Like only if they're in a certain marketplace, like only because now we have the global shipping where if you're selling in North America or in USA, you can be with the same SKU and everything shipping to Canada shipping to Mexico. Now, maybe for whatever reason, you're like, I only want the people in the Mexican marketplace to get this request a review. Well, you that's one of the many things that you can specify there and filter out in follow-up. So that's a difference. The end result of what the customer is getting is going to be identical whether you hit that button in Amazon, whether you're using the Seller Assistant Chrome extension, or whether you're using follow-up. But just the way that it happens and the timing and things and the who gets it, that's what you can have a little bit more control over by using follow-up. So thank you, LD seller, lightning deal seller, perhaps, for that question there. And what would you recommend based on that? I obviously recommend follow-up, because of that customization ability. And Adrian says that was a great question. All right. We got 3 questions here from Emily. Can we do an external link to our website, lead gen, for warranty purposes, or not at all? Not at all.
No. Yeah.
Nothing in buyer-seller messages. Yep, Barkus is very clear on that too. How about this one, Barkus? Are product instructions only allowed as an attachment or also as text in a message? And can you include photos in the attachment?
Amazon wants product instructions as an attachment. So PDF attachment, if you need to include photos in that PDF attachment, then yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And Alex, I mean, this is a kind of question that I always just say, hey, these kind of questions, we're not here to try and interpret necessarily the terms of service here. You always should ask Amazon. But just what's your opinion on this last one, Alex? In a warranty product instructions outreach or in a request for a product review, can you also briefly say thank you, contact us if you need anything?
So obviously you can thank them for the order. I don't believe that Amazon. So the way that Amazon is going to be trying to police these things, at least from what we're told, is they're not gonna. They may not be going through the whole email. They're probably gonna be looking for certain keywords or other things that you're using. And so one of those things, like if all you're saying is thank you, maybe that's something that they'll flag. But I can't see them saying, oh, if any message contains a thank you, that they're going to flag it. So I would say, thanking them is obviously okay. In terms of contacting them, obviously Amazon wants most communication to go through, and it kind of depends what they're contacting about. But certain things, they want them to go through Amazon's internal system. So again, if you're trying to steer them away to contact you for if you want a refund outside of Amazon's system or something like that, then Amazon doesn't want you to remove your communication or anything that you're doing customer service wise outside of Amazon's system. But Barkus, do you have anything else that you can add to that?
Yeah. So real simply put, like you can tell people how to contact you, but you can't tell them why. You can't put a condition on there. You can't say, hey, contact us if you need anything, because the Amazon interprets that as some sellers potentially trying to gate negative reviews. As a business owner, we all understand that makes perfect sense. If somebody comes to your website, hey, if you have any questions or if you need anything, if you got any problems, let us know. Amazon doesn't like it. So no, you can just say, hey, look, to contact us, you can reply to this message or, use the contact us link on the listing itself. So.
Okay, let me see if I understand this question here. What would be the best way to target customer reviews for those multi-buy products that aren't the first item that appear in the order list? There's pretty much no way around it. If they're ordering like 4 products, because of the way the Amazon system is set up, it's going to be always based on that first product, right, Alex? Or how is that customizable at all?
No. Not at this time. I'll say that.
Juan says, is there going to be a replay? Yes. Whatever you're watching this on, Juan, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, you just go to this exact link and you'll be able to see it. By the way, guys, I see only 4 thumbs up. Give us some thumbs up really quick or some likes right now in YouTube and Facebook to spike the algorithm there. Make sure it shows up on people's feeds. So there we go. Look at all those hearts coming in. There we go. Thank you very much for that. All right. Can we make... Oh, we finally have a LinkedIn. I know this person. Gulsan says, can we make it only go after repeat purchases. So in follow-up, can we do the request review for only people who have ordered multiple times from us? Either of you guys.
So yeah, for the traditional for follow-up, if you've got custom messages, you can actually set up a repeat filter where it won't go out to first-time buyers. You can set up an automation for first-time buyers. You can also set up a separate automation for repeat buyers. So if they buy second, third, fourth, or after.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that. Emily Kreider, you got me tripping out because you're sending messages somehow in YouTube, unless somebody has the same exact name as you, and you're doing it in Facebook. So first of all, I just love to understand how you got two screens and two computers going on, or what's going on there. But I'm just going to take your Facebook persona here. How do you offer a warranty without an external link? Well, that's the way to do that is by first getting them before they become Amazon customers. Because remember, guys, if somebody finds your product on Amazon by themselves and they purchase from you, it's not your customer. That's Amazon's customer. They do not want you communicating with them outside of what's necessary to complete that order. You know, even if you're just trying to promote your own products that are in Amazon to them, the Amazon doesn't want you doing that. So one of the only ways where you can just have your own control over how you talk to your customers is by getting them off of Amazon and putting them through like a landing page, aka portals by Helium 10, and capture their email address, you know, beforehand. So then if they become your customer, or even if they don't, you've got their email address. They've given you by definition the permission to contact them. That's how you would do it. Now, in this way, almost, you know, one of the only ways to get people to have a warranty, et cetera, would be through like inserts, you know, product inserts that they can opt in. Again, maybe perhaps even going to one of your portals, right? And that's the way you can get them to do it. But you just as a rule of thumb, in buyer-seller messaging, you cannot put any external links that are either contact related or just, you know, hey, visit my social media. It's not necessarily a guarantee that immediately you'll get suspended or something like that, but it's something that Amazon will spank you for. You don't want that to happen.
So you can get creative with that question. I know what Emily's wanting, and Bradley's right. Inside the message, like the message that you send via Amazon Seller Central, there's no external links. We all know that. No email addresses or anything like that. You can get creative. Amazon specifically states that in the communication guidelines, you can use a PDF attachment for a warranty process. So you can, we're not 100% sure on this. We haven't gotten clarity. I'm assuming that you can put a landing page link in there, or you can have an address or like a physical address where they print that out, send it off, or they can text it to you or send an email. That'll be in the PDF attachment. Let me make that very clear. The PDF attachment, if that's for warranty information, you've got to collect it somehow. So get creative there. Again, product inserts is going to be, you'd want to put it both places, honestly. But yeah, you can't put it inside the body of that message, but the PDF attachment, and since Amazon is specific that you can use PDF attachments for that, it would make sense that they're going to allow you to, like, how else do they send that in? You know, so yeah, just be creative.
And I think there's a part two to Emily's question too, which is using a customized request for review message versus Amazon's template. Again, that's totally up to you. Some people might want to include their own branding in that. Maybe they want their own logo, or, you know, some couple lines of text. Just thanking them or something else too. So, if you choose to use the customized request for review, you have to be very careful about the language that you're using. Nothing suggestive. And so obviously if you use Amazon's, you don't have to worry about those sorts of things. You know that it's going to be compliant. There's no chance that they're going to flag you for that because it's their email template that's being triggered. And then the other thing that you have to keep in mind too is if you're going to do your own custom email, again, it has to be in the buyer's language of preference. So if you only have that email template in English, you're going to want to tag that as English, and it's only going to be sent out to the buyers that have English as their preferred language too. So you may miss out on a few. In that case, you could always like filter it down to and have it go out to other users, or the template go out to other users. But as a general rule of thumb, unless you see a lot of value in doing your own custom email template, you may want to choose just to use the request review action in your automation.
Is it still okay to give a free how-to ebook in the follow-up email? I'm assuming as an attachment, they're saying.
That's no. I mean, I err on the side of caution. Alex might have a different opinion.
No, you're probably right. It depends what the contents of that ebook are, but they've made it very clear that there's only a few things that you should be including as an attachment, and that is product instruction, warranty activation, and invoice. If it doesn't fall within any of those three, it should not be sent. And again, it's not to say that you can't. It has to be a dry content of your instructions or something like that. But if it's just an ebook, then no.
All right. Josh, the non-alcoholic, says, "I can't believe Sutton said my name."
Now
I like your. It was Barkus who first did it, and I thought it said when I saw him reply in YouTube. I thought what I saw on the screen says Josh the alcoholic. I'm like, Barkus, what are you doing calling our users this? But I didn't see the non-alcoholic there. Jeff says, how do you get your first reviews without asking them? First of all, Jeff, you should be asking them. Just the bottom line. I mean, Amazon has made it, wants you, believe it or not, as restrictive as Amazon is about reviews, they want customers to review the product. They even send emails randomly on their own to review products. My Alexa device in front of me right here, all of a sudden will start blinking yellow. And I'm like, what's your notification? They're like, hey, last week you bought headphones. Would you like to review? I mean, Amazon wants reviews. All right. So don't feel like scared, like, hey, should I not be following up or should I not do email? So every single person who is on this broadcast right here, watching this on the replay, you guys, as much as possible, if you're a private label seller, should be asking for a review every single customer, even if you're not a paying member of Helium 10, because guess what? We've got that seller assistant, which is free. So there's no reason for you guys not to be doing it. Now, of course, the better way of doing it is follow up so that you could, customize things So Jeff, right off the bat, I want to tell you, ask every customer for a review. You're not going to get a review everyone. You don't want everyone, because then Amazon thinks it's shady if 50 people out of 100 leave you reviews. But hey, your ratio might go from 3 out of 100 to like 6, 7 out of 100 if you do this. Now, in addition to that, there are other things you can be doing, like using the early reviewer program, or sometimes Amazon makes the Vine program available to brand registered sellers, etc. But your principal way of getting reviews is, number one, having a good product, and then of course number two, following up with everybody. Do you have a template ready to go on the template section that is TOS compliant? Well, we have the request review, which is not necessarily a template. The automation template is definitely fine, but your Amazon is sending the message there. But what about if somebody wants to use the traditional follow-up, Alex? Will we have templates that absolutely are in line with what Amazon wants and doesn't want?
Yes, we will. Most of them we've already updated to be, compliant with the updated communication guidelines. We are looking at them again before November 6th, and we'll probably make some other updates to them, mostly just in the language that we're using. However, in terms of most of our pre-made templates that you can use had product image in there, had different styling that was non-compliant. We've updated all of those, to be compliant, the last thing that we're looking at is just the language that we're using. So we may push a few more updates before November 6th. But by that time, yes, all of our pre-made templates will be 100% compliant with the new terms of service.
Okay. LD Seller, I still need to know what your name is. Is it Landon? Are you a soccer fan? Is it Landon Donovan Seller? Is it Larry David Seller? Is it Lightning Deal? Let me know what the LD is for. Anyways, I've been selling my products for a couple weeks. I just now created a follow-up in Helium 10. Can I set a follow-up in a way that the email will also be sent to buyers who already have the product delivered a few days ago? I know this question comes in sometimes, Alex or Barkus, either of you.
Yes, so you can do that. If you go to your orders, you can actually select orders and then trigger mails for those particular orders. So it is a somewhat manual process, but you can do that. Just make sure that you select the right orders that you want a particular mail to be sent out. So again, if it's just, let's say, request a review, for instance, if you just started doing request a review a few days ago, you can select all the orders that came in before then and manually request the review there too. But again, you're going to want to make sure, I think we've put things in place where if it's outside, let's say if it is request a review, if it's outside that 5 to 30 day after delivery date window, the mail won't be sent to. So you can go and do those sorts of things. Just be careful what mail you're trying to send to which order. And Barkus, if you have any other recommendations on how to do that.
Barkus just wants to show his smiling face. You might be muted, Barkus.
No, yeah, I think you covered everything there, Alex. I wanted to bring this up real quick because I'm just noticing. I'm looking at the communication guidelines again by Amazon, the PDF. They've updated this. They didn't announce it, so this is something we should all look at. So, and I want to bring this up for a couple of reasons. One, there's two things that we're going to need clarity on from Amazon. So I think that me and Alex just looked at this yesterday. So I think that they might have updated this after that, or maybe today. Under permitted messages may not include any of the following. Number two, they say attachments except for those needed to resolve a buyer's issue, shipping labels, invoices, custom designs. So that contradicts what they used to say, is that you could add a warranty. Now, number 8, it says telephone numbers are not permitted except for those related to warranty, shipping providers, or manufacturers. So can it be an attachment, or can it just be in the body? So Emily, I wanted to bring that up for Emily. So there's new information from Amazon at less than 24 hours ago that we're going to need clarity on, like what's the most compliant way to have warranty information. So that's something that me and Alex will dive into, and we'll post about it in our Facebook groups. So I just want to make that mention, and also say, always look at this thing, like look at it, it looks to be like they might, I would imagine they're going to update it several more times over,
Yep.
So just be on the lookout for it. And they didn't announce this either. So
what Barkus says is an important point. Don't look at this or watch this video and think that you have the end all definitive guide of what's going to happen, or you're watching this 5 months from now and like, hey, this is what Barkus and Alex said 5 months ago. This is guaranteed what happens now. Even sometimes Amazon changes things without announcing it. Now, what we're going to do, just like what Barkus said, anytime we see that there's some kind of change, we're going to try to keep as up to date as possible and, make that information available to you guys, just like we're doing right now today. But it's just a good rule of thumb, regardless if we're talking about reviews or things like that. Stay up to date, guys. Watch the seller news or the seller news inside your Seller Central account. Watch our weekly news by Helium 10 that we do every Friday that Barkus and Alex are anchors for, and make sure to keep up to date with things, because the only thing consistent in Amazon is change. So this can change later on today. So just make sure that to stay up to date, guys. Is there a limit to how many PDF attachments you can send in follow-up? I'm assuming he's talking about follow-up. Interesting question. Either of you guys.
So I think you're muted, Alex.
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. Is there a limit how many PDF attachments you can? You can only send one attachment per. there's no reason to send more than one. So Amazon isn't specific, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's 99% certainty it's one. There's also a megabyte limit to it. I believe it is 8 or 9 megabytes. Like that's as big as that PDF detachment can be. So it can't be like a 450 page whatever. So an 8 megabit PDF attachment is still plenty to put in product instructions or warranty information in there, stuff like that.
Okay, let's see. When will available the option language on follow-up? Well, remember, for the request a review, if you're doing that inside follow-up, it's automatic. You know, Amazon has all that information there. But what about if they want to use the traditional follow-up? Do you think one day that will be available to be able to programmatically detect the buyer's language, Alex? Or what have you done as far as research on that?
So programmatically, currently, no, that we don't have like a foolproof system to ensure that the emails that you have can be either automatically translated or automatically detected and matched. Although we are working on some of those things. But what you will be able to do before November 6th is tag emails as whatever language that email is in. And then when you use that mail as the send mail action in your automation, before that mail is sent out, we'll basically be double checking the buyer's language of preference and making sure that it matches one of the emails that you have. If it doesn't match any of the emails based on the languages that you've tagged for that automation, it won't be sent. And that will be available sometime next week, again, before November 6th. Anyone that's an active user on follow-up will be notified when that is available, and we'll also give you instructions on how to do that. Although it is very, very simple. All you're going to do is go into the email editor, and there's a drop down for language. And then you'll just tag that language, and then you'll see it in all of your overviews. You'll see just a little icon that will be the tag of the language that you have for each email. And then when you add it in your automation as well, it'll show the language too, just so you can see it everywhere. We are working on one other thing too, which you will likely see next week as well, which is we're trying to automatically detect the language right now as well. Although we don't want to detect an incorrect language. So if we're not 100% confident in the language that we've detected, then we don't want to go ahead and automatically tag it for you, which is why we're asking customers to go in and tag them manually. If we are 100% confident, then we can go ahead and do that. But until we are, we're asking customers to go ahead and tag their language for each of their email templates.
Any idea what's going to happen with sellers who have received the notification saying they cannot contact the buyers for an indefinite period of time? So as you mentioned before, then your only option if you had got that slap on the wrist is that they need to use the follow-up for the request to review automations, right?
Right. Yeah. So like Barca said earlier, you can still use the request to review by triggering Amazon's template, which you can do in follow-up. Unfortunately, right now, we haven't gotten any word if they're going to be looking at previously suspended sellers from proactive messaging. So right now, it looks like Amazon is not going to be lifting any sort of suspension, although yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Maybe with updated guidelines, maybe they will go and look for that. You can always contact them and ask them, but we haven't gotten any anything that tells us that they are going to lift suspensions.
Okay. Will we have more email templates in follow-up?
We may. Right now, we're obviously working on just trying to make sure that user templates that they create and automations they put in place are compliant. If it makes sense for us to have more templates, we can certainly do that. It may be beneficial. However, if most people prefer to use Amazon's template for requesting a review, and then they only, at that point, maybe it's only a few other things that they're sending it out for, whether it's your warranty attachment or instructions or refund, things like that, we do have some templates in there for those sorts of things. Returns, refunds, seller feedback, or product review, and we also have one for warranty instruction too. So it may make sense for us to have a few more templates. We can always add more for you guys to use. So if that's something that you want to, reach out to us, reach out to customer success or in Facebook, and say, I'd love a template for this too. We're always looking for good ideas of things that can make your job easier.
Speaking of reviews, Jeff, the answer to this is no. Don't want to do stuff like this where if you're talking about like, oh, let me use the Helium-10 Facebook group or another community on Amazon or on Facebook or anywhere to like, hey, let's do an exchange. You review my product, I'll review yours. That's like a quick way to get potentially suspended by Amazon. So, Jeff, there's nothing special that you need to do. Are there some special things that you could do? Yes. There's in the Serious Sellers podcast, we had an episode with Carlos Alvarez where he talked about, reaching out to Yelp reviewers and saying, hey, could you, who are passionate about the subject, hey, could you review, my product? There's different extra things, but for the most part, I know, you probably see, Jeff, why you're stressed out about this is there are sometimes sellers out there who are obviously breaking the rules and getting crazy review velocity, but don't make that inspire you to go out and have to do something crazy that could get you suspended just because you see somebody else getting away with it. Just stick to the basics and you should be okay. Let's see. Emily again. I think Alex mentioned that with a customized request review, you can put a logo. So is it okay to put a logo or lifestyle photo, not a product image, in the actual outreach or only in an attachment? Thanks so much.
So, and Barkus, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears that you can include a logo in the actual body of your email messaging. It just needs to be, if it's not a logo, it needs to be directly related to your brand or company, and it needs to have some sort of like benefit to including it. So if you're going to include the logo, yes, you can include it. The things that you cannot include with the logo is it can't contain a link to anything else. So it can't link to your site or something like that. There's sellers that have tried to do that. It also can't have a .com in the logo. So if yours is purses.com or something like that, they're not allowing you to actually have, like your logo be your website too. So if that is the case, you're going to have like a logo that does not contain that. Otherwise, they could potentially flag you for that. And it may be, again, just a slap on the wrist for that one. But recommend that you do not do that. A lifestyle photo, yes, you could do it. But again, they're stating that it should be directly related to your brand or your company. And so if it's something where, if it's duplicative of one of your product images and or is not directly related to your brand, then I would recommend not doing it. Safe option would be to not include it.
All right. Facebook user says, I sent 55 follow-up requests, no feedback. I'm assuming you mean review. What else can I do? Well, 55 is not that many. So remember the average sometimes, not necessarily the ratings, but for the actual reviews, in the past, it's like 1 out of 100 sometimes. Maybe 2 out of 100. So 55 is not a big, there's probably some of those customers have already opted out of messages. So maybe, who knows, only 30 or 40 people saw that. Maybe only 10 of those people, opened up the email. So right now, I think there's nothing to be alarmed about. If you're worried though, Facebook user, that maybe you didn't set it up right, because obviously you don't set up things right when you don't even know how to click the StreamYard.com/Facebook link. But no, I'm just playing. But check your sent messages in Seller Central just to make sure that the emails are going out. Look at your metrics on your follow-up dashboard. How many emails it says went out, how many got it opened. And then if you want to verify that, look in your sent messages. But there's nothing to be alarmed about, yet. You don't be expecting one review out of every 5 emails you send. That's not realistic, nor do you want that. If you have 1 review out of every 5 orders, Amazon might view that as kind of fishy.
Yeah, and to add on to that real quick, Bradley, is if you want to go to follow up and you want to look at your open rate. So if you actually sent 55 messages, look at your open rate. Your average open, I think our average
open rate across follow-up is somewhere around 20%. It always might dip a little bit. It might raise a little bit month to month. But if you don't have if you have a very low open rate, like 5%, 6%, then look at your subject line of that message, because there could be like, maybe it's very basic. Is it like, please review, or, or whatever it is. Get a little creative, still remaining in Amazon's terms of service. Give them a reason to open that email. If they are opening it and they're not clicking it, then, again, 55 is not a lot, like Bradley said, but if you have like 15, 20% open rate and still no reviews, maybe check that the links work, and touch base with customer support. Like we're happy to look at it and see if there's any issues there.
Yep. All right, let's keep going here. We only have a couple minutes left here, and then we're gonna hop off. So we're gonna do some rapid fire questions here. Shannon says, is it okay to request a review on Amazon and send a customized follow-up on Helium 10 to the same customer? I'm gonna make this easy. Absolutely no. You got to pick one thing to do. Either use the request a review button or use follow-up. Do not do both. Okay, let's see. I'm new. I have not started selling yet. My email automation is not active under Helium 10 follow-up. Is because I don't have any products yet? Correct. Yeah, it'll get activated once there's nothing to set up on your follow-up without products. But make sure to watch the video that Barkus or Alex did right there in the Learn button to understand that when you are ready, there are some steps you have to do in Seller Central to get set up with follow-up. Quick one here from Alex. If you have two different templates in English and Spanish, we use them on the same automation, or we have to do two different automations and the system sends that one that matches the buyer's language. So traditional follow-up, again, just as Alex said, you can't pick the language yet. Is there anything else you can say to that?
Yeah. So like Bradley said, currently we don't have it. So either way, you don't have an option to include it. But when we do implement it, you'll be able to do it in the same automation. So if you want the same email to go out, you just have two different translations of that email. You can include them both in the send mail right next to each other, both the English and Spanish, and it will decide which one to send based on the buyer's language of preference. Again, if you only support English, it's only going to send out to the buyers that have English as their preferred language.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have any further questions, I know how it is. Sometimes on the live, you can't remember it. And then like 3 minutes later, you're like, oh, I wish I asked this. Feel free, guys, on the bottom of any Helium 10 screen on the bottom right, there's this little chat button. Hit that and then ask our customer service team 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're there for you guys. And if they don't know how to answer, guess what? They're going to reach out to either Barkus or Alex, and they'll get the answer for you. Anything regarding follow-up, anything regarding, the seller assistant, things that we talked about today that you're worried about, let us know, and they will be happy to reach out. Now, for those who aren't Helium 10 members, don't forget, I hope you didn't tune out here. You can use the seller assistant for free. How can they download that, Alex, in the Chrome store?
Yes, they should be able to get it in the Google Chrome extension store.
So just type in Helium 10 Seller Assistant. And are we still doing the thing where new users or something get a lot of free follow-up credits or something like that? Or did that promotion end? Barkus, do you know about that?
So free, you're asking about what?
It's we used to give 50,000 free something or others.
So yeah, you can sign up for a free follow-up account, but as part of a free Helium 10 account, you get 50,000 lifetime messages. So what that means is you can use it's a one-time bucket of 50,000 messages. It's pretty,
okay.
I'm biased, pretty generous. So, but once those run out, you would have to sign up to a paid subscription to continue using follow-up.
Okay, so the bottom line is, guys, every single person who's watching this, regardless if you're a paying Helium 10 member or not, you should be utilizing everything that we talked about today, because for most of you, it could be free. And it makes it even more of a no-brainer if you're a Platinum or Diamond members. If you're at that level, you absolutely should be utilizing this within your Helium 10 account. So again, thank you, Barkus. Thank you, Alex, for joining. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you later.